Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, D Palm. You can follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. You can follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. You can follow our entire network, the MTR Network, at the MTR Network. Pretty easy to remember. We cover everything under the sun. We cover politics, we cover movies, we cover comic books, we cover video games, and of course now we also cover sports. Make sure you subscribe to all of our podcasts on the iTunes Store. Subscribe to the main MTR feed, but if you want to hear just specific things, like you want some UD Pod, so make sure you subscribe to UD Pod. But you maybe subscribe to Super Tuesday, maybe subscribe to Character Corners, maybe the Insanity Check feed. I don't know, find what fits you. But of course, UD Pod needs to be included. And when subscribing to these shows, make sure you leave a 5-star review. It's the best way for your voice to get heard. It's the best way to let us know people are listening. It's the best way to let us know people are liking what we're doing or disliking. Because if you leave a 5-star review, no matter what you say, I will read it on the air. It's our policy here. It's a good policy. It's a policy that's only hurt me once so far. And furthermore, lastly, if you have more to say that wouldn't fit on a review, and you didn't want to send it via social media using the hashtag UDPod, you can email us at udpodcast@gmail.com. We're back. It's your late week UDPod for the next few weeks. It's still going strong. The road to WrestleMania rumbles on. I have, again, my homie Rich. What's up, Rich?
Hey, man. I'm enjoying the evening and enjoying another week closer to WrestleMania.
We're getting closer. It's feeling realer. You know what? You know what made it feel real? The first Taker, no speaking appearance and stare at a sign and chokeslam somebody.
Yep.
Like, okay,
that's all he needs to do.
We're here. This is good. That means it's about to start. Things are getting started. Before we get into WrestleMania week, we're going to talk about the WrestleMania card as it stands right now. Few matches have been made official this week now that we're clear of Fastlane. It looks like we're going to get Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Goldberg taking on Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, former best friends, wrestling for the United States title. Right now, booked as a triple threat. Bayley taking on Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks for the triple threat for the Raw Women's Championship. The Club, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, will be defending their tag team titles against either Enzo and Cass or Cesaro and Sheamus. I bet it's a 3-way. But we'll talk about that later. Alexa Bliss is apparently wrestling every woman on SmackDown. But it said, we'll talk about this when we get the SmackDown recap, but they specifically said every available woman on the SmackDown roster, which means I think we're getting some surprise entrants there. And of course, we've got the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. It's right now being booked as a 7-hour card. I got to ask you, Rich, what sounds more appealing to you? 1 7-hour night or 2 3.5-hour nights?
Oh, God. I think, to be honest, I would probably say the 7-hour just to get it out of the way.
God.
Because if it's going to be the way I think, because when it was like that, it was 6 hours last year.
6.5.
And it did 6.5. Oh, it didn't feel that way when I was there. I know. Get the bell.
I can't even find it. There it
is. I didn't feel it, but by the time we got to Roman and Hunter, I could tell everyone was just wanting to die.
Yeah, it was a match people weren't excited for, and people were exhausted by the time you got there.
Right, so I can only imagine when you have, I mean, on some ways, if it's a shorter traditional Goldberg match, regardless of who wins, people may feel cheated, which would be quite ironic considering last year. But yeah, 7 hours, that's a lot of time to just sit there.
It's a lot to ask of the live audience. They'll really love to ask of the viewing audience at home. I know this is their blowout. This is their G1. This is their Wrestle Kingdom. This is their big moment. This is their Starcade. I love doing that because I'm sure it would just really tweak Vince for me to call WrestleMania his Starcade. But man, it feels like, and I know you want to get people on the card. You want to get everyone to get that big WrestleMania payday. I understand that. I support that. But man, oh man, 7 hours is a lot to ask of me.
Well, think of it this way. I know you asked 3.5 hours on 2 nights, but I'm thinking of it like this. You're gonna have on Friday a 2.5-hour card that's gonna get done the excitement level, what you want at WrestleMania, but in a far more efficient way with NXT.
Right.
And so it's tough to ask for, like, if you had 2.5 hours of NXT and then Saturday you have 3.5 hours of WrestleMania Part 1 and then Sunday 3.5 hours of WrestleMania Part 2. I think people would just run screaming away by Sunday night.
Yeah, but you're probably right. But at the same time, people who come. That's my thing. Is people who come to Orlando who are going to go to the host city, you're not just saying, oh, I'm going to Mania and getting out of there. These are people who are going to NXT, who may be going to Ring of Honor, who maybe go to other shows, but who definitely stick around for Raw and now maybe even SmackDown.
Yeah.
So, like, this, like, I don't know. I think you could, I'm just so tired. I'm an old person. I'm not going to lie. 7 hours of professional wrestling, no matter how invested I am, it's a lot to ask. And, yeah, I can dream. Speaking of dreams, not really. We have a new inductee in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And they announced who'd be inducting him. It's Ricky Steamboat. And I'm not going to lie, the little Sting mark in my heart remembers the Sting-Rick Rude feud.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, it'd be great if Sting inducted him. He's not going to do it. That's right. The Hall of Fame is finally ravishing, as Rick Rude will be inducted on right before WrestleMania this year. Rich, my connection to Rick Rude, because again, WCW kid growing up, I remember Sting and Rude having that feud. Then Rude left.
Yeah.
The next time I saw Rude is the night he broke the world and appeared on a taped Raw and a live Nitro at the same damn time. And it was better because on Raw he had the mustache, and on Nitro he had shaved. And it happened because Rude had hurt his neck and couldn't perform anymore in the ring, but he's still around the boys. He's still a part of he's still entertaining, so you could use him. But apparently his contract ended up at WWE, and he made that jump to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed WWF Rick Rude because that's all I had for a while. But when I got to see the WCW Rick Rude and a little bit of the New Japan Rick Rude.
Dude, the New Japan Rude he's such a great heel.
Yeah.
Like why isn't Dolph Rick Rude?
Because well, I mean, okay, if we're going to be honest, because he can't get on the gas to the point that Rick did. Because, I love Rick Rude, but the story Steve Austin brings up of him in the car and like hating foul language, and then he turns around and he's like, well, why is it that you got these little pencil neck geek legs? He's like, well, Jesus, Steve, this is an upper body business, pal.
He knew where his money was made. Give him that.
Yeah, and he was the thing about Rude was, even though he was, on the gas and he was a little bit enhanced, he was only around 235. Right. But because his legs were so small, he looked like a monster, and he had a 10-pack. I mean, that.
And the thing is, you're right, the tiny legs, but you would buy him in the ring with Vader and with Sting because you're like, well, look at him.
Yeah, I would argue that instead of Dolph, because I don't think Dolph is the right build, I think he would be what Orton is now.
Oh, no, I mean from build perspective. I meant just like, take that character and go be Ravishing Rick Rude. And I know Dolph kind of books himself.
Much of a cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Dolph kind of plays off either being the son of Billy Gunn or like Shawn Michaels light, particularly on super kicks. But I think that if someone could really just grab onto that Rick Rude mantle and just say, I'm going to do Rick Rude in 2017.
So many people have tried, like the Masterpiece, Chris Masters. The
Val
prototype
Venus was the attitude about Rick Rude.
Yeah, Val Venus, Jason, the Ultimate Male.
There's some deep cuts.
Yeah, right now in New Japan, you have oh my God, what's his name? Yujiro Takahashi, who shows up with one of the local ladies. Well, not ladies of the night. I don't want to disparage the woman, but she's like a Instagram model for Japan called Yuhiko, and apparently I don't speak Japanese, but from the dude that translates it, I didn't realize that Jushin Thunder Liger was such a perv until Yuhiko showed up, and he's just like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm going to talk about her.
Oh, man.
So, Rick, you need someone. If someone's ever going to take that mantle on, first of all, they have to have the body. Second, they have to have the confidence. And I don't think too many of the WWE wrestlers have a confidence level. Because you would look at those old Rick Rude intros, and they're basic. They're like, the most basic of we were talking before we started, of pro wrestling, dialogue and just all that stuff. All you fat, out of shape, New Jersey jerk-offs. I'm here to show your woman what a real man
looks like. Avert your eyes so your woman can see what a real man looks like.
And then they cut to the crowd, and sure enough, there'd be at least one woman that's like furtively licking her lips.
That was the thing. That's a shout out to the old WWE and NWA and WCW crews, ring crews, because they always found the woman.
Yes.
They always found the mark, man. They go find the mark, and they found her, man. And Rick Rude was great because his character permeated, and that's one of the things I love about like a Sasha Banks, someone who's taken their character and really understands it, because everything Rude did was in service of the character. He walked in there with Jake the Snake's wife on his crotch.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like you put a man's wife on your crotch.
That's heel heat, guys.
That's how Ted Cruz level. You gotta get punched. You gotta catch me outside.
We're fighting. There could have been no build before the match. If you'd done that, Broadway brawl. 30-minute time limit. Let's do it.
That's a They Live fist fight for 18 minutes.
The greatest fist fight in cinematic history, you mean?
Yes, man. Yeah, I mean, that movie's on cable. I don't care when it's on. I'm watching it. And if it's up to that fight's getting watched 3 times.
If you're listening to this wrestling podcast and you happen to love They Live, make sure you join MTR's Premium Network, because we did a spoiled movie. We did a nostalgia review of They Live. It's me, Drew from Interracial John podcast, and Chris talking about it. And man, oh man, if I don't mark out for that Roddy Piper fight. So we went over the WrestleMania card, a match that everyone kind of heard was going to happen, but was not on the card. Big Show versus Shaq. And it started a couple weeks ago because Shaq said, I don't know, it looks like the WWE's pulling out. And he made all his excuses, and then Big Show gave a little babyface fire and was saying, hey, look, I've worked my tail off. I know where I'm at. Shaq's scared to do it. And everyone assumed the match was off. But once again, Rich, what are we reminded? Everything is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Are you think we're getting worked?
I think we are, but here's the problem. I think he worked himself into a shoot, brother. If I can call it the Bolea-ism. Because Big Show was not lying. Because I said it to a buddy of mine in a group me we're in. He's taking pictures with himself and who was it? A-Rod. And a couple
Big Show's ready.
He's in great shape, and Shaq is in TV shape. Like, he's sitting on Inside NBA and NBA on TNT, and he does not look like a man that's been working out and getting ready for a WrestleMania match.
I think he figures, well, maybe he hasn't, maybe he has, maybe this is all part of the longer build. Like, I would buy that.
But I mean, if Shaq comes out and he's got like one of those fat suits or one of those like pregnancy stomachs that he just pulls off and he's like, I'm ready to go. I've been waiting my whole life. But I don't feel like he.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I love Shaq. Oh yeah, I love Shaq, but he's even though I think this dude's a sky, he's no Karl Malone. Like, Karl Malone came in there and he was more ripped than anybody.
Like the beginning of a season.
Yeah, it's like, hey Carl, we got a back-to-back. Nah, guys, I'm at Nitro. I got Hog Wild on Sunday. Could you imagine if Russell Westbrook said, I can't go up against Golden State and Utah because I gotta film I got 3 segments to film for Raw tonight.
Yeah, I got to be in Sturgis on Saturday, brother. Can't make the game tonight.
Got to make the town.
Oh, got to make the town. Making the town. Oh, man. So I've got another question for you. Who really won the Monday Night Wars? And before you answer, I'll remind you that Goldberg is champion.
Yeah.
The Cruiserweights are featured performers on the Monday Night programming.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have here? It's to the point where I was like, wait a second. Like, it just felt a little weird. You're trying to bring in a basketball player for a marquee match.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of WCW isms happening right now. They just changed the logo. Admittedly, not as bad as the WCW logo.
Went to 3 hours on Monday.
They went to 3 hours on Monday. For me, it feels like not WCW-ish or WCW adjacent, but it just feels like we might get War Games this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it'll come out. That's one of the few things I think Vince has you'll get that out of my cold, dead hands in terms of that was the whole reason they made Hell in a Cell, because Vince abjectly refused. Even when he had the man who legally created and owned War Games in his employ and has it somewhere in a barn in Texas just sitting and waiting to be used. And I imagine every time they open that barn door, it plays the music from Step Brothers when he would look at the drum set. And you're just waiting for the beauty of War Games, the match Beyond, to be dropped upon WWE audiences that have never seen it. And Vince is like, no, pal, we got Satan structure.
Two more things that might make this WCW actually winning the Monday Night Wars. The announce table on Raw is now at the entryway.
Yeah.
And both shows have at least a 3-man booth. SmackDown's 4-man booth, by the way, is the most distracting thing on television.
Well, that's where I think I would lean towards Vince McMahon winning. If this was WCW, Mike Tenay didn't have to worry about Eric Bischoff sitting at the desk to make sure he could pitch things. He would just let Mike Tenay talk about all the awesomeness that was the history of whatever wrestler he was talking about at the time. Because that's what they're doing tomorrow. They're basically cutting his legs off. And if I hear one more time JBL throw something stupid out at Morrow and Morrow can't fire back, I'm sick. I'm sick.
Well, we talked about working yourself into a shoot. We're going to get the Raw recap in a second. Before we do, I want to talk about one segment. Triple H was on, I guess via satellite, probably backstage, doing an interview talking about what's upcoming with Seth Rollins. And I'm just going to read you, mind you, Raw in Chicago. This is the quote he used. You got to take your hat off to the WWE. I mean, the world-class care they provide their athletes is second to none. That's Kevin Wilk working with Rollins in that video. Kevin Wilk. That's like the best in the world. WWE spares no expense when it comes to health and welfare of their talent. We just have to hope that somebody like Seth Rollins actually listens to the experts, listens to what they're telling them, and utilizes that advice.
Yeah. That video is going to get played in their lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. Because you replace Seth Rollins with Phil Brooks.
Yeah.
It becomes like he uses the phrase best known like he did that on purpose. Am I reading too much into it, or is this legitimate CM Punk subliminals?
Oh, no, these are CM Punk subliminals. And the fact that he went third person, he could have just said me as COO, but he was like, yeah, that WWE really does a good job. It's like, but you are the WWE.
Was this like, did they run this by legal? It feels like a bad idea, right?
It does, but they also had the ref tell The Rock a couple of weeks ago, Vince doesn't want you talking about a guy we're suing. It's like, no, you aren't suing. Doc Amon's suing him. This is up there with, this isn't a Muslim travel ban. It's totally a Muslim travel ban.
Well done. Well done,
Thank you. I mean, it's as I joked with my buddy Travis, it's yesterday with the East Coast cast. You have two 70-year-old billionaire, quote-unquote billionaires, who think that they can just bully their way through things, and when reality hits, it comes at them fast. That's both of them. I mean, I can tell why they're friends, and that's the darkest part of my wrestling fandom, is that one of the members of the guy that helps provide it to me now is also best friends with one of the single most destructive human beings currently walking God's green earth.
That's the best way to describe old Cheeto Hitler. Let's talk about Raw, because we could recap Fastlane, but I feel like for something called a Fastlane, what would you give the grade of the show? Because for me, I had low expectations coming in, so I'd say probably a C+, B-. What about you?
I'd be in the same boat, and it was one of the few shows in years where, and I don't want to become fanboy or like that wrestling fan about it, but I legit fell asleep for about 45 minutes.
Oh, what stretch did you fall asleep through? I'm curious.
The two singles matches that they set up for Cesaro and.
Oh, that was I think I did dishes. I didn't watch those.
Yeah,
I woke came back up to watch the Big Show wreck house because that was fun.
Oh no, I missed that part. I woke up in time to see Neville and the greatness.
I was about to ask, because that's my match of the night from Sunday, was this Neville Jack Gallagher thing. First of all, tip of the cap to Jack Gallagher, who, by the way, if you didn't know you're listening, he has an MMA record.
Yeah, he's 2-0.
Actual fighter. He's 2-0. He's a badass. He took all those bumps on his head on Sunday. He repositioned himself perfectly for that red arrow at the end. That headbutt he throws feels so visceral and so real and so good. The Cruiserweights, that was it. Everyone says that the women's revolution happened, but then the arrival was later on. Was probably the triple threat match at Mania. The arrival for me of the Cruiserweight division was this match at Fastlane, because far and away the best match on the card, and also it kind of showed what we can do when you know what it did? It made me watch 205 Live this week.
Yeah. And
I've
the
been
fun
kind
thing
of dipping
about
in and out. Like, I'd watch it like 2 days later. I watched it after SmackDown this week because I was so intrigued. So, what the hell's going to happen next?
the best thing about Gallagher to me is, and I was talking about this with Bruce Mitchell of the Torch when we did our show last week. There we go. Gallagher trained at the Wigan Snake Pit, which is the equivalent in the UK of the Hart Dungeon meets the Gracie compound in terms of not only do they teach you how to be a shooter in pro wrestling, but that's also where he learned his MMA training. And he had in those 2 fights, they ended quick. And in the second fight, he turned to Jim Smallman, who's the owner of Progress Wrestling in the UK, and told him when the match was going to end and how he was going to get the guy to tap out. And yes, he went in and did it. So for all his soft-spoken nature, like, Jack Gallagher is a bad dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He is not to be trifled with. And I think that Neville has got that career reinvention down there. And it's just, they're telling really good stories. And that was my match of the night. I actually enjoyed Roman Braun about as much as I thought I would.
That was great.
Those two are going to they've got great chemistry because there's not many people in this company that Roman can bump for, like, legit, and have us believe it.
Right.
But if anything, I think it was a good lead up to the bumping he's going to have to do in about a month. Let's get to Raw. Raw opened up with Kevin Owens returning to form. We had Chris Jericho addressing his distraction of Owens, resulting in his 9-second loss to Goldberg. And let's just stop here for a second. Fanboys and wrestling fans who are upset that Kevin Owens did not have a 20-minute classic with Goldberg. 1, are we sure Goldberg can do that? And 2, Goldberg beat Brock in a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Storyline-wise, Kevin Owens going the distance with Goldberg made no sense. I like how they protected his character by giving the distraction. But we're going to get, like, I think that people say that, oh, you're wasting X's spot, you're wasting B's spot. They're telling a story, and the story culminates at WrestleMania, and it culminates with the Brock Lesnar winning the title off Goldberg. Spoiler, sorry. But Kevin Owens' actions, the way that match was handled, serviced that story.
I mean, shoot.
Go ahead.
You got to look at this, Palm. Austin, the week before when they did their podcast, mentioned to Owens that he's one of the few guys in professional wrestling today that takes a powder like the guys in the 80s would. And he said, do me a favor in that match against Goldberg. Take a powder for me. And Kevin Owens proceeded to take a 7-minute powder before the bell rang.
But they kept the streak numbers and the match number down because it was pre-bell. It was beautiful.
Right. If you think a man suffered by being put in that position, I don't know if we're looking at the same thing on TV.
100%. But I'll tell you something else. Because Kevin Owens is so talented, he was able to take that loss on Sunday and pivot immediately into the program with Jericho. The interaction between them at the start Raw. First of all, I like this Raw more than I've liked a Raw in a very long time.
I like this Raw better than I liked Fastlane.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the top of the hour always popped. They did Brock and Goldberg top of 1 hour, did the ladies top of the other, and they closed out with we'll get to later, but the reemergence of the Dead Man. It was just a really well put together show. Everything seemed to fit and make sense, and I just loved how Kevin Owens said, "I've got my title shot in my back pocket," so to speak, because it speaks to 2 things. He does get a rematch from being a former champ, but also he's clearly aligned with Triple H, whatever meta story they're telling there. So I like how they kind of teased that going forward. I loved Joe. I like the tacit. There's been no, like, we're not tagging together. We're not traveling together. We're not talking about it. We don't have a name. But Joe and Owens are clearly tied for Triple H. You had Joe storm the ring, and Sami Zayn come down to save him. It gets us another Sami-Kevin match, which they treated like the first TakeOver match, where they just had Sami just eat that offense. And he can suffer that because, and again, this is people saying, you're denigrating Sami. No. We're telling a story.
Right. And when you have a guy like Sami Zayn, that is his story. He's a guy who's always going to be, can he win the big one? I mean, that was the entirety of his NXT journey.
Right.
To the point where they had to bleep. I remember they did a good job now with when you watch it on demand. But when he was in that match against Neville, he dropped so many MFers before he hit him with the haluva kick that they basically had to, like, mute the last 30 seconds of the match.
The replay is very, very different than watching it live. You're 100% right. It's like you said, Sammy's best character is the underdog. Look, it's the underdog from underground. He's the guy who's got to battle from the bottom, and what better way to put it on the bottom than to have his former best friend continue to kick him in the head. I loved Sammy against Samoa Joe on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would have been more beneficial for more time. If you liked that match and you think you like more of it, the WWE is uploaded for free. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's their 2 out of 3 falls from NXT earlier last year.
Oh God,
That
match was so good.
It's on YouTube for free. They gave him the whole hour of NXT to do it. It's a great match, and it shows you the benefits of the matches they have on Raw now that are going forward. But it also culminated again at the end of the night with Joe versus Jericho, which is one of those matches that you're like, I didn't know I wanted this match, but now I want it to never end. It's two guys who know what they're doing in that ring, who know how to sports entertain. Joe getting the count-out win after that. Was it a win or a double count-out? It was a win, right?
No, it was a win because he choked him out and then rolled
back in, yeah. That Coquina Clutch are doing a really good job protecting it. Whenever they break out a muscle buster, the crowd's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
I think this is like the Styles Clash where they probably shouldn't have wasted it on a throwaway SmackDown against Curtis Axel. And they learned from that and say, you know what? People know his finish. They know what happened to TJ.
And I was going to say that's one of the issues they have to deal with, kind of like CM Punk. TJ, if you notice, like even in Total Divas, magically they only show like a third of Natty's house because they don't want him on TV. They don't want to mention that he's hurt. They want to mention how he got hurt. They just want to keep paying him and pray he never has to sue them.
Man, I really like that you watch all the products, including Total Divas.
Oh, I do. Like I mentioned before we started, my mom's downstairs. My folks live in Tampa, and my mom was upset with me because she started watching Total Bellas that I didn't tell her that John Cena was so close to her house.
I like your mom's, man. Your mom's cool. Goldberg and Brock. Goldberg had his first babyface pop with the big red belt. Fun to say. And it looks like a piece of big red gum. Came out, great pop, gave a good babyface promo, but then entered Paul Heyman and his client Brock Lesnar. And we got to see Goldberg take his first bump, and I think it's been 13 years.
Yeah. And I know, again, he did fine. Munches made it the fact that he didn't drop the belt until, right before he caught the F5. But to me, whatever points you took off of that, like you just mentioned, after 15 years?
Yeah. 2004 was his last match, I think.
So after almost 15 years, this man had the ability to show the crowd that after he got the crap kicked out of him, the most important thing to him was to feebly reach out for his title, get himself to his feet, and then throw out a primal scream. That was...
Yeah. This is not a guy who stepped away from wrestling and then didn't grow as a performer. He's been on a host of television shows. He's grown as a performer. He understands the nuance now, I think, a little bit better than he did for the business. And you're right. It's that little thing, that grab for his belt. And it communicates so much while giving so little. They're going to do a build for this match. We maybe get one pull-apart brawl. I'm sure we will because that's something WWE loves. But that's the first time they let Brock look strong in any interaction with him. And it made me more intrigued for the match. If you were booking, let's just say you're the agent for a second. Let's put you in Dean Malenko or Arn Anderson's shoes. You're booking this match. Fit Finlay, I hope. Well, let Fit book it, please. He'll book a brawl. How many minutes would you give him? Bell to bell, excluding entrances.
Those two, because of what's happened before, I'd give them 7 minutes.
Okay, see, I could see him going 12 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell a story in that span. And I think that people hoping for like a 20-minute classic, that's not... For those of us who saw Omega Okada and say, I would love that at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is not for us.
Right.
It's not for the guys who decide to hop on a podcast, do an extra show on top of the other shows we both do to talk about the road to WrestleMania. Mania is not for us. It's for the casuals. It's for the people who say, oh, who's the champ? They want a name with the belt. They want a name battling for the belt. And I understand that from a fiscal and, honestly, a responsible position. I get all that. At the same time, I'm allowed to let myself be sports entertained. And this build for this Goldberg-Brock match, it feels pretty good so far. They've got 3 weeks left, or was it a good 3 weeks left?
Yeah.
Please don't fumble it.
Yeah, the one thing I need to see going into this is, because of the fact that Bill hasn't bumped as much as most other people who go up against Brock in years, Brock needs to be, I don't know how to put this, but like 2003 Brock and not 2016 Brock. Because if it's just going to be German suplexes, Bill's not going to be able to operate in that environment.
I see what you're saying. You want a more varied offense out of Brock.
Right. It can't just, because and it's funny, I think it's going to happen because from all the indicators, Brock was the one that, like, as soon as he heard that Goldberg was an option, he jumped on it, because his other option prior to that would have been Shane.
You heard that rumor too. Yeah.
Yep. And then I think back to last year. Yeah. Go back to what happened last year with him and Dean. Dean went on the Austin podcast and talked about how he felt Brock was lazy. And really that was a result of Brock, to be honest, not respecting Dean Ambrose as a professional and saying, I don't want to really do your match. We're going to do what I do.
Yeah.
Whereas a year later, he's like, hey, Bill, why don't you squash me twice and then we'll work something out in WrestleMania.
Hey, Bill, let's go make a shit ton of money.
Right.
That's what that was. Let's go make a bunch of money, Bill. All right, so that happens. We get the women's segment. Bayley's still not great on mic. I think she did better this week.
Yeah.
We're setting up the women's triple threat. It looks like, would they go back to that well again, or do you think the story's still unfolding?
I think they're going to go back to the well of the triple threat because that makes the most sense. I think they kind of pushed Nia Jax out of the way. And it's weird to me, though, because as I joked about with SmackDown, when that was on, whenever these issues come up, as soon as I hear Stephanie's music, my brain just, like, I feel blood dripping down my nose. And it's like, what? So I just don't feel – I feel like worst case, she might interject herself, but that's like a nightmare scenario where I just wake up shaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you're right. I think that I hope that they work Nia into it because I think that she would add – her physicality and presence would add something to it. And if you want to make it another wrinkle, make it a four-way but elimination four-way.
Yeah,
have it come down to Sasha Bayley again. And then you get your Sasha heel turn that we're all waiting for.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that is the best way to do it. And the problem WWE is going to have is, and I don't know, probably the week before WrestleMania might be the better time, but I'll preview it now. In April, when WrestleMania is going on, this is also the time for those of you who aren't like the smarky smarks and involved in like reading this stuff online. April, September, and then typically January are the times where they bring in their new class of independent wrestlers that they're going to indoctrinate and give Kool-Aid to.
Indoctrinate? Come on.
I mean, that's the nicest way to put it.
We'll deal with that later. Go on. Keep telling the story.
And so this April, they're bringing in most likely Io Shirai and Akari Hojo, who are two of the greatest women's wrestlers in all of Japan. They are basically, if Asuka is the John the Baptist, they're right behind her in terms of like just mythically awesome. In fact, Hojo, if you get a chance and look at my Twitter at @r.deuce, I'll be sure before tonight to put a UDPod hashtag on a picture of her dropping what is probably the most perfect elbow in all of professional wrestling. She gets her entire body just perpendicular, about 10 feet off the ground, and just drives it into you. And these women are coming to WWE because Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka convinced them that it's safe here. It's like friends and family with human trafficking. It's safe. They don't beat us as bad as we thought.
Human trafficking now?
That's what it is. Like, they don't beat us as bad. They actually let us speak English. And then Tozawa is like, yeah, I speak English on TV. And so these ladies are gonna, it's gonna be unfair. So there's a time now. There's a timer in my head set up for the women in Raw. Sasha's obviously awesome. Bayley, like you said, she has to work on the speech, but in the ring, she's fine. Charlotte is a freak.
Charlotte might be low-key my favorite wrestler on the planet. We'll talk about my actual favorite wrestler on the planet. We'll get to SmackDown Live, but she's great.
I need to see Asuka versus Charlotte, but I don't think my body is ready for it.
I don't think anyone's ready for it. I think that's one of those matches that's going to get, because we call WrestleMania for the casuals. Our Smarkamania is SummerSlam.
Yeah, that'd be a SummerSlam match.
That's a SummerSlam match.
I'm not even. I can't. And then now you have these women, and it's like it's not going to be fair that the WWE from a work rate standpoint is gonna. You're right. It's gonna be NWA/90s WCW.
Did you know Emma's not 30 yet?
Yeah, Emma's like 28.
That's crazy to me. And the thing is, people forget because it's been such a while. She can go in that ring.
Anyone that's trained by Lance Storm, I will.
Yeah, she's not here to entertain you. She's a professional wrestler.
Yeah. Same thing with God bless them. They've learned how to entertain, but the delightful Poison Ivy and
Peyton Royce and the other one.
Yeah, Peyton Royce and the other one. They are both. One of them's trained. I think it's Peyton that's trained by Lance, but they're both fine wrestlers. They just happen to figure out that Vince kind of likes lipstick lesbians quicker than most people, and they're kind of going with that as their gimmick in NXT awkwardly. It's like, hey kids, come to Orlando.
So you say that. I think it's more almost like the BFFs, like when Sasha had blonde hair and was working with Summer.
But when they come down to the ring with their pinkies interlocked.
Yeah, but I think it's more like a Mean Girls. Maybe I'm not reading enough into it, but I think it's more like a Mean Girls thing because where they call themselves the Icons. The backstage segment this week in NXT of them trying to find a place to put their breakout star thing.
Yes, that was amazing.
They develop good characters. If people say the women's division in NXT is lacking, just go watch it. Give it a shot because it's not the characters you know. But guess what? At one point, Becky Lynch was doing Riverdance. And Sasha Banks.
And she was dressed like Lucky Charms.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they got to find their footing. But once they do, trust me, Peyton Royce has found hers. And I'm here for it, as the kids say. Again, another great night, another great match. Neville slowly becoming the MVP of both 205 Live and Raw. He and Rich Swann put on a hard-hitting match. But the story wasn't the match. The story was the interview afterwards. When Austin Aries comes out and decides he's going to do a little post-match interview with the king of the Cruiserweights. And it does not go the way it was planned in that, well, Neville takes exception to how much the fans love Austin. And Austin drops that rolling elbow on him. And I didn't know how badly I wanted it.
Yeah. And this is without Roderick Strong being on the main roster. This is there's so much fun that can be had with A-Double.
And it's so great because A-Double was working heel before he broke his eye. And I think that he fits as that perfect, because you can have a Rich Swann or a Jack Gallagher as the babyface of 205. You can have Neville as the heel and Kendrick. But as the tweener, the guy who goes out both ways, the guy who can fill both those roles, there's not one in the world better than Austin Aries. Because he's got that Ric Flair, like, I'm going to cheat, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to cheat.
Right.
He's so good on the mic that you can never hate him, and he justifies everything he does so well, so you don't hate him all the way, but he does cheat, he does do underhanded tactics, and I think he's going to be a real shot in the arm for the division, and if we get A-Double Neville at WrestleMania, I didn't know I needed it, but I'm glad, I hope we get it. Tag Team Turmoil continuing, the reminder that this division has 3 teams, and that's it.
Club, it's a holding pattern.
It's the Club, it's Enzo and Cass, and it's Cesaro and Sheamus. Shout out to the New Day going out there and squashing Los Matadores, or whichever name. Is it the Shining Stars now?
Yeah, the Shining Stars, because Vince thinks all Puerto Ricans sell timeshares.
Well, he thought they used to be bullfighters, so we're moving in the right direction at least.
Yeah. Well, Latin American History Month's always going to be awkward.
Every year, because someone eventually will say, "What about the Mexicools?" And I have to pretend I don't like wrestling for 2 weeks. Because that's the most racist shit in the world. I think this culminates in triple threat. They got a number 1 contenders match next week. And again, people say, oh, they're building the card. There's a lot of road to cover before getting to Mania, particularly with these undercard matches. That's why I think that 3-way match might change for the women. That's why I think this might evolve into a 3-way dance for the tag belts. We'll have to see. And let's talk about that closing segment. Braun came out, notably angry about the loss the night before. Made sense. I thought the loss was perfectly booked. It protected Braun. It made Reigns look great. People want to boo Reigns all they want. You guys have heard me. I'm not an anti-Reigns guy. I don't get it. I don't get the booing of Reigns. But hey, it is what it is. Do what you want. Taker comes down. stares Braun out of the ring. Where did Braun go then? Did he lead through the crowd?
I think he just leapt through the crowd. That was the only thing I didn't like about that segment. I thought Taker, Taker could at least given Braun the dude nod. Listen, big man, Daddy's got to talk, and all he would have had to do was the nod. But instead, he just, like you said, he just stared a hole in him, and then Braun did the fee-fi-fo-fum in reverse.
I liked it. It added a lot to it because it showed to me what Taker and what even Braun can evolve into without saying a word. Because you're able to convey both Taker's presence, you were able to convey Braun's presence because you were legitimately oh, what's he gonna do? But then you get the rub, if you will, on the Taker because he's I don't want these problems and I respect this man too much. So he just leaves the ring. Roman comes out, gets the booze, and
this is my yard.
This is my yard. And they do the double look at the sign. And then Goozle, chokeslam. The crowd goes wild. Rich, if you're booking this match at Mania, which we're clearly getting, don't we just book Roman going full heel? I think you put Roman over Taker, but you do it by cheating.
Yeah, but I think the problem lies with the 70-year-old dude again.
Just move him heel till SummerSlam. Give me a 4-month run of heel.
I think, because just like what happened with Bayley, which we'll get to, I'm sure, I think he's going to make it seem like Roman, of course Roman's going to do what he has to do, but he's going to be the face in it. And Undertaker's going to be the Undertaker.
You don't know what to do. You can't make them boo the Taker.
But the Taker will just be the Taker. But the more and more I hear even guys like Kevin Owens talk in public forums about, I just want noise. I don't really care about boos or cheers. The more I get worried that they want this homogenized just dreck instead of true emotion. That 80s, somebody's going to pull out a box cutter, might be a little too far. But at least give me the 90s. People are screaming because you really think that the Undertaker's about to put Bret Hart in a body bag.
Yeah. We'll see. I hope I do hope that it pulls it off. I hope that they pull it off. I need them to just try something new with Roman because you can't, if you can't get them to boo the Taker, which you can't, you gotta lean into it. You gotta say screw it. Let's go. Let's go full. You gotta turn to the skid, and right now they keep spinning out with Roman. Would you want to talk about Bayley?
Oh, the idea of Bayley, she is supposed to be the pure driven snow, and having her week after week say, hey man, YOLO, I keep the title how I keep the title, is like an antithesis of the little girl who has literally every single WWE superstar in the Attitude Era a picture with them. That's not the person I see, blowing off the fact one of her best friends keeps helping her. Yeah.
But I think that's going to be that naive baby face because what they're going to do is give Sasha motivation to turn.
Right.
So I see what you're saying, but I think it's servicing, like I said, the larger story. Let's talk about SmackDown Live so we can get to the greatest segment on professional wrestling, talking smack. Rich. 2 hours, not that many matches. But we all know that the weekly, for those who don't realize it now, weekly shows are for segments, matches for pay-per-view.
Yep.
Which is how wrestling works at this point.
Now SmackDown will tease us. SmackDown will tease us with the AJ Orton match.
We'll get to that beautiful match in a second. They didn't mention the tag team titles, the tag team champions, or the tag team division in 2 hours.
Nope.
3 if you count Talking Smack.
Last week Daniel did tell Jordan he was chunking up before Mania, so he had to cut weight. So maybe that's where he's off running the stairs in a trash bag.
Yeah, but let's talk about what they showed us.
Yeah.
Do you think this is and I know there's been much said about the creative team behind SmackDown and some of their hits and misses. Ryan Ward, famously of NXT, is head writer now, and Devon Dudley's working on the show. Do you think that they're setting us up for something in this tag division, or they're just going to try to play out the string until we get a reset after Mania?
I think they're going to set it up. I don't know if it's going to be the Revival, for instance, because they're involved in stuff on the NXT level. And Mania, they very rarely debut people at Mania.
Yeah.
So that would be my trepidation with thinking that they were going to do something like that. I think they're just going to do some multiple schmaz with the SmackDown tag title.
Maybe get the Revival on the first SmackDown after Mania.
Exactly.
Because I'll tell you what, SmackDown or Revival and Alphas had great matches till I saw Revival and DIY. And I was like, oh, this is so much more chemistry. Yeah. The women's division, for me, people have been hitting us with it. They say that it's lukewarm, that there's too many people in it, which is the exact weirdly opposite complaint of the Raw women's division. For me, it feels like everyone in the division matters, and I'm here for this Battle Royal, whatever they're going to be doing at Mania. How do you feel about it?
I'm in the same boat. I just argued with my buddy Travis yesterday during our East Coast cast thing on the Torch, where the issue became, for me, his entire argument is the women's division should have been one giant thing, Raw and SmackDown, and then tag team on one show or the other. And I was like, well, no. If we never split up the women the way they are now, we would never see the greatness that is my girl Alexa Bliss.
5 Feet of Fury.
5 Feet of Fury. She called it a Blissertation. When she's fantastic. And
she's the third best thing about SmackDown.
When she has the audacity to say, well, I know this person is going to, because, she's broken. So no Naomi for me. And, the little things.
Natalya, the worst there is, the worst there was, the worst there will be.
Yes. That.
Fire.
The bars.
Fire.
The bars. Bliss bars are, there's one true king of bars, and we'll get to him on SmackDown.
Yes, we will. Oh, yes, we will.
Hashtag that man Mike.
Yo, that man Mike, man. He don't play fair. We got some injuries to the Andre. Looks like Apollo Crews is gonna be the Andre.
Yep.
Who else was it? Kurt? Was it Hawkins?
Hawkins, yeah.
Do you care?
Nope.
Do you think they're gonna use the Andre to put over an NXT guy like they did last year with Corbin?
I think they're gonna use it to put over Braun because he needs something.
Yo, I'm actually here for that.
And I think Braun could probably carry that Andre trophy like with one arm.
I'm turning into the biggest Braun Strowman mark.
You need to. I mentioned, okay, here's a big bell. Last week Bruce couldn't do it, so I did it with editor-publisher of the Pro Wrestling Torch, Wade Keller. And I talked about the fact that I love looking at old WCW NWA matches because when you look at a Barry Windham, I don't know if Vince McMahon would like the animated gif of Vince falling out of his chair if he would actually. But if he had Barry Windham in 2017, he couldn't do anything. A 6'6" man that could move like he's 5'10" and sell like. If Braun could get to the point where he could sell, and you believe it no matter what the size of the dude is in the ring against him, he's going to be a problem.
Well, the thing about it is, from reports I've heard, is that Vince has been very hands-on with Braun, and he's kind of building him to be that in an Andre mold where we don't want you to sell. We don't want you to fall.
You're a monster.
You got to be the monster. And I'll tell you what, when he took to that top rope on Sunday, I was like, oh, shit. Like, it was the first, truly excited moment I've had in wrestling in a very long time.
I didn't know what he was. I was like,
yeah. Are they gonna have him get knocked out? Are they gonna rack him up on the turnbuckle? No, he's gonna jump. I'll be damned.
Yeah, and I'm like, Roman is very far away. Okay.
And he got there.
Yeah.
It was Braun Strowman.
Yes. Braun 450, WrestleMania 34. Let's see it.
Wait. Go ahead and just line him up. Feed whoever isn't getting a WrestleMania paycheck yet. Just feed him to the Andre so they can feed him to Braun so he can throw everyone out of the ring at once. I'm so excited for it. Also, the IC title story moved forward. Look, man. Okay, lead pipes are at least a pro wrestling weapon. If I drop a crane, if I drop a forklift on your chest, that's assault.
Yeah. Well, we already had arson is going to lead to a world title match, so SmackDown's kind of gone a little off the rails when it comes to.
Randy might have killed the camera guy.
At least one, and he at least destroyed some. He destroyed some drones or some monopods or GoPros or something.
Did someone say drones? There's your WrestleMania debut. Vanguard 1. Let's talk about the SmackDown Live main event. Shane and AJ. It's one of those matches. This is one of the matches where I did know I wanted it, and I thought I was going to get it in a longer feud this summer, but I will take a throwaway match on SmackDown. My favorite piece of psychology of the match was the fake phenomenal forearm of the RKO.
I think people need to watch that clip.
Yo, it's so
at least 10 times, because you have to realize the level of athlete you have to be to leap from the apron to the top rope, balance yourself, leap down, and then leap into a 450.
Uncle Alan's 39 years old.
Uncle Alan, God bless his GOP loving soul, is...
Uncle Alan's 39, man.
He, with a bad back.
With a horrible back.
All praise to DDP Yoga. Buy it in stores now.
They're not supporting us, but they should.
They really should. Oh, man. Yeah. Diamond.
So I got to ask, are you okay with the numerous diversions and detours we've taken to get us back to where we were after Royal Rumble? Well, really, yeah. Where it's going to be Orton, Wyatt, or Elimination Chamber, I'll be fair.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the twisting and kind of convolutions we've had to go through to get back to where we started?
I was fine with it up until the point that Daniel Bryan was the one rooting for Orton and Shane was rooting for AJ. And the reason I say that is Daniel Bryan, the guy who, is the bastion of truth, justice, and the bearded way.
Nicely done.
He came out and said on live TV in front of God and everybody, the winner of the Royal Rumble is the only person that should wrestle in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm like, hey, B, I seem to remember New Orleans went a little differently than it was supposed to be. Come on.
Extenuating circumstances, Rich.
These are extenuating. Oh, okay, so you got
Rich.
a dude that you had a dude that abdicates his contendership and then all of a sudden wants to be emancipated and declare it again. This ain't 12 years a slave.
I'm here for it. That's fucked up. I'm here for it because you know what that means? At some point, AJ's got a rematch in his back pocket.
Yes.
Randy walks in or out without the title or not, it doesn't matter because AJ still got a shot there. I would love, in my world, in the Smart world, in D-Palm's world, AJ's in the main event of Mania.
Yeah.
But because Shane's the boss's kid and Shane apparently gets to pick his own match, the rumor...
Well, because Shane saved their bacon last year when that Jerry Dome wasn't getting filled, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, I could wrestle.
And everyone was hurt, yeah. But no one's hurt this year. No one's really hurt. Like, yeah, Seth and yeah, Naomi, but no, the injury bug hasn't hit like it did last year. Right. Why can't we? Like, this is the booking I want. I want it to be Shane. I want it to be AJ. I want it to be Shane. I want it to be AJ. I want AJ to work heel. I want Shane to be the babyface. And then the night of the match, here comes the money hits. After I Am Phenomenal, he's in the ring. He's wearing his whatever tights he decides to wear for the big match. Here comes money hits. Shane walks out in civvies. Last year, I went through off the side of a cage through a table. Last year, I stood one-on-one with a dead man. Survivor Series, I got snapped in half of Roman Reigns. AJ Styles, you're the best in the world. You deserve to wrestle the best. And then, Rising Sun hits.
Oh. See, I was gonna do one better, and then metal hits.
No, they can't. They can't do that the night after the induction. They can't do it the same weekend. I know he's gonna be on TV on Raw and SmackDown the next week. That would be nuts. You talking about marking out?
You play metal, and then he show up with the ECW / early TNA era angle mouth guard with the barbed wire in it. Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a thing to see. But I think more than like my dream booking before you bettered it, I'm not gonna lie, is Nakamura, because you heard the WWE officials say we wanted a 5-star, 6-star caliber match. Yeah. Who do we know can provide that with AJ Styles? We know Nakamura can. It'd be a thumb in the eye of New Japan. I think it'd be just a great thing to send. We'll see if it happens. I really don't want Shane to wrestle in this 7-hour wrestling extravaganza. I just want that in the world. Now, we've covered most of SmackDown Live. Let's get to Talking Smack. where the greatest thing in professional wrestling happened again, and they gave The Miz a microphone. Next week, I should have, knock on wood, we're testing some things this weekend for the podcast, so we'll see how this works out here. But next week, I should be able to play audio clips in the show. But man, The Miz. That dude, Mike.
Yeah, that dude Mike is crazy.
He's nuts.
He pulled out receipts. Yeah, he pulled out some receipts, and he went to places.
Let him say it.
Yeah, like Cena wasn't there, so he couldn't react. But the stuff he was saying, that's a fight.
There were two big takeaways for me from that whole interaction. One is that Talking Smack is way less scripted than anyone thinks they could be. Like, yeah, it is definitely a work, but it's admittedly not as scripted as they thought. Or is it like other in-ring segments gonna be like those are heavily scripted moments that Talking Smack isn't. And The Miz went out there and said, John Cena says I've stolen everything from everybody. John Cena stole his finisher from Tommy Dreamer. Yo.
Yeah. He went down the list.
Marking out. Like, that was me right there. I was like, oh no. He couldn't. He did. Hell, John Cena stole his girlfriend from Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, then he...
And then he brings up, so I guess you may know more about this than I do, girlfriend contract?
Okay, so that's like 3 levels. This is like the Remy Ma diss of SmackDown.
Because I guarantee it's when he's like, I'm gonna burn down his house with words.
Because John's first wife, they got a divorce because he got involved with a porn star. And the only thing that kept it from getting out in public was the prenup and like gag order that came with the prenup that he had her sign.
That was Rich who said that, not me. Please don't sue me.
That allegedly. Allegedly. And so now with the thing, I mean, he went down the list even when he was doing commentary. He's like, hey, they test better when I have a girlfriend. So come on over here, Nikki. It's like, oh my God. Like, well, how are you saying these things out loud right now? And then the defense of Daniel Bryan saying, well, you don't know anything about John and you're just a shill and you're what word did he use? You're a patsy for the WWE. And you could hear the legit anger that came out of Maurice when he said that.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, I'm thinking like this poor French Canadian ex-playmate is pissed off because she knows her husband is on the road 3 times as much as everybody else, still gets his training in, still gets his prep in for matches, and solely to prove his existence because unlike everybody else, he was hated. The guy who does commentary was laughing alongside everyone else when they kicked him out of the locker room and made him change in the bathroom for a year.
Yo. So I'm gonna read part of the transcript from Miz and Maurice when they kind of took over SmackDown Live.
I'm ready.
Divas champion, the longest reigning Divas champion. What was Nikki Bella doing? Well, nothing. She's a celebrity wrangler. She used to walk up down the ramp with celebrity guests, make sure they feel comfortable backstage, if you know what I mean. Bring them a coffee. And then Miz, and then she starts dating John Cena. And then what happens? And then she becomes the longest reigning Divas champion in history. Now look, I don't care how much of it's true. I don't care. That was bars. And that's why I think Maurice is like the sneaky secret weapon of this whole feud.
Yeah.
She has legitimate beef with the Bellas. They fought to keep her from coming back. They got her fired. Like,
and then she got to remember the one thing they're leaving out, which goes back to what you were saying on Raw. It wasn't that they were using the women's title through Nikki to get rid of Maurice's history. They were erasing AJ Lee's history.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, they completely failed to acknowledge anyone else's reign because Maurice was up there. Yep. And they were like, nah.
The other aside from that being the great takeaway of what a gym the Miz is and how lucky we are to have him in our lives, the other takeaway was because Miz kept saying things like this, like, you want to be a wrestler, but you can't because of your head. It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Brian comes back. I can't, or they won't let me. We'll see in a year and a half and see what happens.
Yeah.
The WWE has said repeatedly that Brian will never set foot in the ring for them again. But now that he's on-air talent again, his contract is unfrozen. In 1.5 years, his contract will be up. And the rumor that's already started is he's going back.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
New
Dave
Japan.
Meltzer went so far as to say, like, he already knows, like, what type of style of wrestling he's going to do to protect himself. He knows he wants, because he never got a chance to, he wants to wrestle in CMLL and have a hair versus mask match with someone. And he wants to go to New Japan again. And my big response,
how do you feel?
I can't. I'm on the opposite end of it.
No, I want to see it, but I don't think I can.
I can't.
I don't know if I can. I want to watch it because I'm a Brian. I like to watch Daniel Bryan matches all the time. But I don't know if I'm okay watching it knowing how... And the thing is, I also know that he's done more extensive testing than a lot of the guys in the back. That maybe, just maybe, there are more people who are closer to his side of it than anyone else, or people who have it worse off than him.
Right.
But now, I don't know
my issue is,
I
think that this way. I got up a week ago. I got up early to watch the New Japan 45th anniversary and watched a dude get paralyzed off of a DDT. And that was after years of him doing the Kokeshi headbutt off the top and all Tomoki Hanma. And so Hanma's just now getting feeling in his body parts. And the first thing he's talking about is, I can't wait to get back and wrestle. It's like, no.
You're doing it all wrong.
You can't feel your legs right now. You're like, hey, man, I can't wait to throw my spine.
As soon as I'm taking a bump.
Yep. And that's what Brian can swear up and down, I got this safe style. But the second he gets a chance, he's going to want to do one of those headbutts like Gallagher because he thinks it's cool. Or he's going to want to do some crazy spot where he gets a dragon suplex off the top rope. Hey, Okada, maybe not do that ever again. Thanks.
Please? It makes me so nervous.
Like all of them, it's like this streak. They have this greatness in them. And then it's like, it tells them, run into traffic. You'll be okay. And for 20 years, they might be. But it's just that one time you need to get hit by the truck.
I don't want to see Brian get hit by a truck, but I do want to see him.
Especially with a daughter. Torn. He's got a daughter on the way. This is like The Wrestler Part 2.
You're not. I'm not going to say you're wrong at any point. You're not wrong. I just need to find in me to be a better person than I want to be and not watch him wrestle because, oh man, I like watching Dan Bryan wrestle. But that's all the time we got this week. We're building towards something very nice here, I think, in Mania. It's shaping up. We've gone through the card. We've gone through the week in action. NXT's coming together. Looks like we're going to get Chris Hero back in action very soon against Shinsuke Nakamura. Or, excuse me, against Bobby Roode for the title. The winner gets Shinsuke at TakeOver Orlando. That card's coming into shape. Rich, tell people where to find you, man.
You can find me on Twitter at r.deuce, Dotdeuce, and I do Wednesdays and Fridays on the Torch at PWTorch.
Well, make sure when you follow Rich that you hit him with a bell. Just send him a bell. He'll know what it's from. He'll know you listen to UDPod. I am DPalm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPodcast, or UDPod, excuse me. We have another show for you guys coming out brand new on Monday. We're going to cover all this NFL free agency psychosis that's happening. I've changed the rundown for that show 4 times. No kidding, in the last 2 days. So we're going to see what the hell happens on Sunday when I record it. But make sure you're back here next week for more wrestling coverage. That was your show. This is your outro. See you next week.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. We take the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it. Here comes the new kid on the block. Hold on your bets, here's where the buck stops. See, first of all, I'm stepping out on my own. About time I elevated to claim my own throne. Success in my blood, call it homegrown. Pores reeking testosterone. Power and money got me crazy cocky. No longer need you, Poppy. I know you're mad because you can't stop me. And if you wonder how this player done scooped your honey, I think she Smell my cologne, it's called brand new money. Making major moves, man, ain't a damn thing funny. Pimpin' hood rats to Playboy bunnies. They see the